Before I get started with this video, if you want to know the reason why I didn't do the Richmond review, look in the comments below. Enough said. Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Joseph Lombard, aka N2SC4R, and welcome to another episode of the N2SC4R's NASCAR Sprint Cup Race Review. Today I will be discussing the Geico 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. So I'm a couple of days late on doing this review, but hey, at least I'm doing it now. So let's get on to it. Holy crap. Was this Talladega race exciting, wild, and crazy. Probably one of the craziest Talladega races I have ever watched, if it's not on the top of the list of best Talladega races. I mean, this race at Talladega had everything. First off, I just want to say congratulations to Brad Keselowski and the number 2 team on getting the win at Talladega Superspeedway, their second win of the season after they got the win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So, anyway, this Talladega race basically had about everything. You had, you had the cars upside down, actually 2 cars flipped over and one on its side. You had the big one, obviously, always happens at Daytona or Talladega. Dale Jr.'s steering wheel came off, which he admitted it was his fault too. I mean, just a lot of things happened in this Talladega race, and the good news is that all the drivers walked away from Talladega Superspeedway uninjured and okay, and no death either, which is good because this was one of the scariest Talladega races I've ever watched too. I mean, just a lot of things happened. I mean, just a lot of big crashes, a lot of big hits too. I mean, the hits, like Chris Buescher flipped over, Matt Kenseth flipped over, Kevin Harvick on his side. Michael Annett hit driver's door in the inside wall. Edwards and Dale Jr. had a hard crash. And then Danica Patrick head on into that wall full speed, inside wall. It was just amazing how many big crashes and big hits we had in this race. So, anyway, let's get on to it. So, you know, Dale Jr., he's so good at Talladega Superspeedway. You expect him to run out front and stuff and compete for the win. Well, he did that early in the race until around lap 50. He got loose off turn number 2. Same thing that happened in the Daytona 500. Got loose off turn number 2, and the car lost it, and then his car spun right back across the racetrack, right into Casey Kane's path, and Matt DiBenedetto's path. And all of a sudden, Junior's got a lot of damage. He's out competing for this win at Talladega Superspeedway. Apparently, Amelia, ever since they named the car Amelia, last year it was good. This year it's been shitty. Actually, as a matter of fact, they decided that they're going to retire Amelia because that's 2 races in a row that they used Amelia and it got just sideways off the corner. I mean, same incident, technically. So Amelia is done. So they're going to move on and not bring her back. So Dale Jr., he's in the garage. He's out competing for this win. He's not going to win this race. So he comes back on the racetrack and a freak accident happened under caution where he said it was his fault too, because if you notice, like in the steering column, it's got 2 lines where the steering wheel clicks into the steering column. It only clicked to 1 line. It didn't click to the second line. All of a sudden, under caution, he was driving. All of a sudden, the steering wheel comes off, and he has to literally grab his right hand, grab the steering column, and turn the steering column. I mean, that's pretty hard to grab that steering column and turn it. I mean, it's one thing to grab the steering wheel column, but turning it and stuff, because that thing is heavy, you know. And he was able to turn the car. And after he got on the straight, he grabbed the steering wheel again and popped it back into the steering column, and there he went. He said his hand was raw after he cranked that steering column, but it's like, I mean, you don't ever see that at all in NASCAR, where a steering wheel comes off while they're on the track racing, probably going like, Dale Jr. was probably going like 100 miles per hour when it happened. Who knows how fast he was going? I don't even know how fast he was going. Thankfully, it didn't happen under green where he's in the middle of a big pack and all of a sudden his steering wheel comes off. And then the last crash, Dale Jr. was involved. He was on the outside of Carl Edwards. You know, Carl Edwards won the last 2 NASCAR Sprint Cup races before the Talladega race. It looked like Edwards cut a tire or broke something. His car went straight, and unfortunately, Dale Jr. was there right into his path, and bam, into the wall again. I mean, it was just not a good day for Dale Jr. and Amelia and Junior Nation at Talladega. So that wreck that he had with Carl Edwards pretty much sums up his day at Talladega Superspeedway. The car was finally destroyed. It was time to get out and leave Talladega with a last place finish, 40th place finish. Just unfortunate for Dale Jr. because that's one of his best racetracks. We expect him to run out front, and it just did not happen in this race. Other incidents. Coming off turn 2, going down the back straightaway, Austin Dillon gets turned into the outside wall. All of a sudden, you see Jimmy Johnson gets turned into the infield. And I was watching Jimmy Johnson at the time because I thought he was going to hit the inside wall. Not hard, but I knew he was spinning down the racetrack. All of a sudden, I see this yellow car barrel rolling down the back straightaway. And I looked over, and it was Chris Buescher. He tumbled 3 times down the back straightaway, about did a nose stand, and then got back on his wheels. So the first flip of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season was rookie driver Chris Buescher at Talladega, going, like I said, going down the back straightaway. Apparently, Michael Annett, he spun and clipped the right rear of Chris Buescher. All of a sudden, you see the air off Chris Buescher's car started getting there, and then you see Chris Buescher tumbling down the back straightaway. So you think one flip is enough, right? Well, it did not stop there. I'll get to that in a minute. So, we had the big one. Going down into turn number 1, Kurt Busch was behind Jimmy Johnson. Kurt Busch gives Johnson a bump. A little bit too much a bump. As soon as Kurt Busch hit, Johnson's car went up like that, right in front of Paul Menard. Johnson is turned into the outside wall. And then all of a sudden, Johnson's car comes back across the traffic, and the big one happens. Just like you see at Daytona or Talladega all the time. You expect a big one and stuff, and it happened there. Let's see, Newman was involved, Austin Dillon, Allmendinger, McMurray, Hamlin, Danica was involved, and several other drivers were involved. Truex was involved, and yeah, I mean, the big one in turn number 1. Greg Biffle was involved too. So, finally had the big one, besides someone flipping over in turn number 1. Everyone drove away, climbed out of their cars okay, or drove away okay. Oh, same thing with Chris Buescher. He climbed out of that car okay, not injured at all after he barrel rolled. And Michael Annett. I mean, Michael Annett hit the inside wall, flat side driver's door, and he climbed out okay and stuff. So again, the big one happened in turn number 1. So let's get down to the final flip. I would say the final actual flip that happened in this race. Going down the back straightaway, Danica gets a bump from the back, and all of a sudden she gets loose. She comes down, spins right into Matt Kenseth's path, and all of a sudden you see Matt Kenseth spinning, and then all of a sudden that air just pushes into Matt Kenseth's car, and all of a sudden Kenseth's car is lifted off the ground, airborne like a blowover, and I honestly thought at first, I thought Kenseth, as fast as he was going spinning down into the infield, and then his car going airborne and still flying towards the infield wall, I thought he was going to hit the inside catch fence, honestly, because it spun so fast and it flipped over in the air a long way too towards that inside wall. I thought he was literally going to hit the catch fence before it landed. But thankfully, he landed on this roof, and then he hit the inside wall hard, upside down though, and he's sliding on his roof for a long way before he flipped back over onto his wheels. Matt Kenseth climbed out of his race car okay, and not happy with Joey Logano, which we will get to that in a minute as well. But Danica Patrick, I mean, I was paying more attention to Matt Kenseth when he flipped over and stuff. I was paying more attention to him. But then when I saw Danica climbed out of her car and walked towards the infield wall, the inside wall, she looked like she was out of breath. And then she even bent over on her, put her hands on her knees and stuff, and just trying to catch her breath. And I didn't know, I mean, I noticed the car was pretty bad torn up and stuff. I didn't know she actually hit the inside wall hard or she got hit by someone and stuff. But then I looked at the replays and I saw Danica spinning towards the infield wall and then BAM! Into the inside wall hard. She said that was the hardest hit she's ever took in her NASCAR career. Worse than the incident she had in 2012 in the Gatorade Duels at Daytona. She said this was a new level of impact for her, that it was the hardest hit she's ever taken in her NASCAR career, which I happen to agree, because she hit that inside wall hard. No wonder she was out of breath and stuff. Thankfully, she climbed out of her car okay and uninjured. She did say that her arm and her legs and her ankle was bruised up, but other than that, she was okay. So is Matt Kenseth. He was okay, but like I said, he was upset with Joey Logano, which we will get to that in a minute. Now we come down to the finish. Brad Keselowski leading the way at the restart with 3 laps to go. White flag in the air. Keselowski still has the lead. Can he hold on for one more lap? They're going down the back straightaway. Keselowski blocking the whole racetrack, making sure that no one gets by him. I mean, Kyle Busch was charging after him and stuff like that. Then coming off turn 4, coming down to the tri-oval, Keselowski looks like he has this race won. And he held off Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, and the rest of the field behind him to win the Geico 500 at Talladega Superspeedway. However, there was one more big accident behind him coming to the checker flag. In the tri-oval, I guess Landon Castle turned Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick spins towards the outside wall right into Ricky Stenhouse's and AJ Allmendinger's path. As soon as Harvick hit the outside wall and Ricky Stenhouse hit him, Harvick's car goes on its side. It didn't really flip over. It just went on its side for a little bit and then back on his wheels. So almost had a third car go upside down. Harvick, like I said, he only went on his side. I wouldn't count as a flip, honestly. He just went on his side, but he almost had 3 cars upside down, which is pretty crazy. You don't see that a lot in races anymore. Or never, I should say. But while Harvick and the others are crashing behind him, like I said, Brad Keselowski gets the win at Talladega Superspeedway. His 4th win at Talladega Superspeedway. His 2nd win of the season. And he goes to victory lane. Now, Matt Kenseth was upset with Joey Logano. I listened to some audio from Matt Kenseth, what he was saying to Joey Logano. He said that Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano, they better expect to race each other better than they have been in the past 6 months, I will say. And Kenseth was like, I promise you, we're going to race each other better now than we did. I promise. Also, Matt Kenseth walks away, and then Joey Logano says something, you know. Well, if you would have helped us, we would have gone to the front. It's like, really? You wait for Matt Kenseth to walk away until you say that? Like, really? So, anyway, looked like round 3 of Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano. So, could this be the final chapter of Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano's rivalry? That Matt Kenseth said, I promise you we're going to race each other better right now before Matt Kenseth stops racing. That's exactly what he said. Matt Kenseth said, I promise you we're going to race each other better before I'm done racing. So, could that be the final chapter of Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano? We will see. We will see. Anyway, so that was the Talladega race review. Hope you enjoyed it. I apologize. This is a little late, but at least I did it. And I apologize I didn't do the Richmond review, but if you want to know why, just look in the comments below and I'll explain why I didn't do the Richmond review. So, next race is at Kansas Speedway. Saturday night race, 2nd Saturday night race of the season. Last year, Jimmy Johnson won there. Could he go back to back in the spring races at Kansas Speedway? Joey Logano won there in the fall. Will he get the win, or will anyone else get the win at Kansas Speedway? We're going to find out Saturday night at Kansas Speedway. So that's it. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed the Talladega review. I'm Joseph Lombard, aka N2SC4R, and I will see you for the Kansas review.